Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today, I have with me Paige Wika. She's the National Sales Director at IWCO. So Paige, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. To get us kicked off, can you give us a little bit of background about what you do at IWCO?
Yes, I'm a national sales director over at IWCO. Essentially, what we are is an agency with print production. So I sell our services.
Okay. So do you do a little bit of everything in terms of the company itself?
Yes, I have a little bit of a different approach when it comes to sales, but I target and research heavily when I go to accounts and reach out and say, hey, this is what I've been looking at with your mail piece. And then basically go in with ideas and go in with, this is how my team can help. So
Okay.
that's a little bit of my strategy when I go in there, but I try to make myself a little bit different than everybody else that's selling.
Got to make sure you stand out some way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So how long have you been in print?
I've only been in print for a year, but my history goes back a little bit more. My entire family's in print. My dad and all of his brothers, which I believe 4 brothers, and they have been in print for around 20 years. And then my brother is actually in print as well. So my entire family has been in print. So it's in my blood.
Definitely. So you got sucked in.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I actually originally started, so I took a sales route after college. And ironically, I went into selling printers. It was the first job I got. So I was like, all right, I'm going in with printers. And then I ended up selling IT with it. And then after I realized I really want to be into software sales, I liked the image of it. I liked everything around it. And I went to a company called Ideas, and that was revenue management software, and really loved the company, got to do amazing travel with them. But my uncle called me and said, hey, I'm looking to get out of here in the next 5 years. I want you to come over, and I think you'd be really good at this gig. And I said, I'd have to check it out. So I went and checked it out and ended up taking the job and seeing what it was about. And now I've found a great avenue that I love. I can express my creative side because I went to school for graphic design, and I'm able to blend it with my sales side, which I thought I felt like I missed in software. I didn't have that creative outlook. And so I'm able to incorporate that here. So that's super nice.
Really cool. So you went to school for graphic design,
Yeah.
but you ended up in sales.
Yeah. So my whole family is in sales as well. Even my sister's husband is in sales too. So everyone is in sales in my family. So I thought, might as well try it out. If I don't like it, I can always go back. I have a degree in graphic design. And in sales, it's funny. You don't really need a degree for it. So you just go in and they see how you sell. And if you can stay above the water, you're good. So I ended up taking that first job. Before that, I was a server. So I was in with talking with people all the time. And so I was comfortable with that, but then ended up going to sales and jumped around until I found my sweet spot. And it's also super helpful because my family has been in the industry. I can turn to them and look for advice and kind of know the industry without knowing 20 years of experience.
You have them in your back pocket, so you can always ask them.
Yes, which
It's
is great.
awesome.
Yeah.
You have a secret weapon that we may have just revealed to all of our listeners that,
Yeah, which is funny because me and my brother are actually at competitors. Yeah, I know. So I think that's funny. So we have to keep our relationship separate with that.
have you ever gone head to head with him on an account?
Not that I know of. I
Okay.
hope to never. Usually we'll keep that separate side just because of business, but family dinners are always funny.
I can only imagine. That's kind of
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you said like part of what you really like about IWCO is the creativity that this position lends you. Is that really what gave you like your aha moment that this might be the job for you?
Yeah. So I think when I came in, I was obviously new to direct mail. And so they took us through this whole training session for a couple of months, and we learned the ins and out of everything for direct mail. then I started realizing there's a lot of creative side behind it because you almost act as an agency for them for doing creative. And then you also have the data side of it. And then you also have the print side of it. And so you have to blend everything. But if you're coming to them with ideas that their marketing team can't think of, that's obviously an advantage. If you think of it like that, saying, hey, we also do print production, but I have these marketing ideas that maybe you haven't thought of that I think could work really well with your solution.
Very cool. Very interesting. Now, in terms of your career, you've held a couple different positions.
Yes.
How do you measure success? For you in sales, is it, oh, I got that next big win, I got that client? How do you measure your success and has that changed for you, even since you've been at IWCO?
I think measuring my success is like different at every job that I've worked at. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's building that pipeline and making those sales, but also getting a relationship with the clients. And so I think that a big thing for me now is I've tapped into LinkedIn and I've marketed on LinkedIn, and not a lot of people have been doing that in this industry. I'm obviously clearly younger than a lot of
Hmm.
people in the industry. And so I think that's a little bit of an advantage that I have is knowing what's trending on social media and being able to incorporate that and do videos about marketing and direct mail on LinkedIn. And so I think that has been a great advantage. And then I would say measuring success would be on my LinkedIn is building a community. That's the ultimate goal is building trust and experience, knowing that I have great ideas and that I know the industry well, the ins and out of it, what doesn't work, what does work. And so people end up coming to me and reaching out and referrals. So I think that's a big measure of success that I've looked at for wanting in my future.
Now, with your family and the history that you have in the family side of being in print, and now you are selling print with IWCO, what misconceptions have you observed maybe since you moved in? I don't know if you had misconceptions even yourself before you started working in the field about working in print.
I think that a big one would be that it is just print because even when I came in, I didn't understand it. Because you look at my age and my generation doesn't really look at direct mail all the time. We look at it for bills and everything, but the only thing that catches my eye is certain pieces. And so I try to replicate that sometimes. But I think looking at print and misconceptions around it would be that there's not data tied into it. It's not personalized and it's not for every business, which is also quite true, I would say. That there's a lot of business that it doesn't work for, but there's a surprising amount of businesses that aren't in it that could be in it. So I think that's a big misconception is that, oh, it only works for insurance or finance. And I think that there's a lot of industries that could benefit from it but just haven't tapped into it yet.
Why do you think they haven't tapped into it?
It's such a interesting channel because it's expensive, but the reason why it's expensive is because it's a lot of work behind it, but it works. And so if you're going to be spending a lot, you want to make sure that you're getting it back into your business. I think people don't understand it or could be hesitant about it because if you're investing X amount of dollars and you're nervous that I'm going to look bad if it's not coming back to me. And so I feel like there's a hesitation with any business for that. And I think that digital's so easy to send out as a mass email. It's much cheaper and social media is free to post on. So people do that a lot and hope that their product gets known from that, which it has. I think there's a lot of brands that could be tapping into direct mail that haven't, but are also exploring it. I think that it was a dip and now it's coming back slowly because there's such noise in the digital world because you're getting spammed all the time with these emails. And when it's coming to your doorstep, usually it's a little bit different, feels a little bit more personal.
I'm guessing that's maybe an argument that you may have had with some clients too that say, "Oh, I don't think print's for me."
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think it's always interesting. And I think going into clients, I always make sure to know that they know the value of what their company could have with direct mail and what it could do for them, the advantage. And so I try not to ever put conversations in front of them if they don't see that, because then it's probably just a lost cause.
Yeah, because at that point, you're just talking to talk. You're not actually giving them
Yeah.
the data and some of the background to support what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also, if they don't believe it, it's going to be a hard time to convince them. So they have to be able to believe that it could work in order to get them in the mindset of wanting to start a program.
Definitely. Now, for you, you've had a couple of different roles, even in your shorter career within the print industry. What challenges have you faced? Maybe as a woman, maybe because you're young as well? Or is there certain things that you've had to overcome in this position?
I think with all my positions, I think there's always going to be more guys in sales than women, but I have typically not found any issue with it just because when you're different, when you look different and you have different ways of approaching things, usually if you look at it from a marketing perspective, if they're all doing the same thing, why should they buy from you? But
True.
if you're doing something different, it's going to turn heads and people are going to be interested. And once one head is turned, people are going to start also doing it and say, okay, what's this about? And so I sometimes use that to my advantage of, okay, I do look different. I'm a lot younger, but also everyone has the same perspective when they're not from my generation. And so if you're looking at younger generation, wow, she might have some knowledge in the social media side, what's trending, what is going to capture people's attention and a different way of approaching it. I love doing deep research on different accounts. And I think that's really an important skill to have, especially in direct mail because it's so niche. I think it's an advantage. But I also know what you're talking about with boys tend to be boys, like when they're speaking to each other. But I've had really great luck with my company. I've had a great mentor, Chris Locker, who's in my company that's around my dad's age, but he treats me like his own daughter and has been with me since day one with support and is always there if I need him on a call or anything. It's been very helpful. And I think they lead really well at my company.
So that kind of mentorship really does mean a lot to you.
Yeah, because if you're not supported, how are you going to learn? Doesn't make sense if they just throw you out into the wild and say, go. That would not work out.
Go swim. Here's a floaty.
Yeah, I'm an avid question asker. So I ask a lot of questions, but it's just to better understand business and understand the best of my ability. And so then I can perform the best.
Now, you mentioned Chris is obviously your mentor here at IWCO. How
Yeah.
important was it for you, maybe even in your other positions, to have somebody that could offer that support?
I think it's so important to have it in any role. Actually, at my last company at Ideas, there was a lot of women I worked with. And my team was actually, I think, 50-50. But one of the mentors that I worked with, we worked really well together and he taught me a lot. And if I never needed a question answered, he would be able to answer it. So that was always nice. And I can always rely on him. And we still speak. He's not at the company either. He hopped to another job as well as I did and we still keep in touch. So that's always fun.
Which is great because in some ways now they can offer really an outside opinion, an
Yeah.
outside perspective, especially when you get so deep in the weeds. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure we all do, especially you're doing deep research too. So if you get
Yeah.
deep in the weeds, you can really ask, does this really matter in
Yeah.
some ways?
Yeah. Definitely.
Achieve color consistency, efficiency, and precision with G7 Plus certification, the industry's gold standard for color management. Whether you're in packaging, commercial print, or digital production, G7 Plus ensures neutral gray balance and visual consistency across all applications, helping you reduce waste and improve quality. And getting certified has never been easier. Choose from live in-person training for hands-on experience, live online training for real-time learning from anywhere, or on-demand training for flexible, self-paced education. No matter your schedule, there's a G7 Plus certification option for you. Printing United Alliance members save 20% on all courses and certifications. Stay ahead of the curve, view training options, and get certified at printing.org/G7 Plus.
I will touch on one other thing for
Yeah, of
mentorship.
course.
So I think a big mentorship, this might not go with the print side of it, but it doesn't really matter in the industry. But I've turned to a lot of sales reps that have been pretty public on LinkedIn that have had great success. So Armand and Nick and Sarah from she just started a company for sales selling serum. But before she was at a company called Pareto, they all had different industries that they would sell to, but they would post publicly on LinkedIn of, hey, this is a great way to reach out to people via cold email or cold call. And they actually ended up writing a book on it. And ironically, I followed them for a year or two. And then when I came to IWCO, they gave me that book. And I was like, wow, I already had followed them. I know these tips, but the book was great to have. It's called Cold Calling Sucks. And that was actually how I learned to sell. Like those were the people that I turned to on LinkedIn because they were the people that would pop up on my feed. And that's how I learned to sell. So I think that was my biggest mentorship is the people that were saying, hey, I've been there. I didn't do well. And this is how I got out of that rut and post about it publicly. So being open and vulnerable online is a different and hard thing to do. So I appreciate when sales reps do that.
And in some ways, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like you said, they were selling
Yeah.
different industries. A lot of the same problems or challenges operate across multiple people. Cold calling, trying to find somebody that's ghosting you.
Yeah. Seriously, though, it's so true. And I think it's always funny because you can see people when they just started in sales or they don't really understand the concept of, they're like, I need an exact script. And so they try to make an exact script. And so they would tailor it to like whatever Armand was working at, wherever he was working at. He had this exact script, but he said you can make it however you want. It's just about the idea behind it and helping them. And people will be like, this doesn't work for my industry. It doesn't matter that it doesn't work for your industry. You just have to make it work for you. And so I think it's always evolving. I never have a certain script that I stick to, but at the same time, I do stick to a certain theme and it particularly works well for me. And I think everyone has a different style of selling and a different personality. And I think that that'll work for them and they'll be successful if they keep with it.
Yeah, it's hard to make everything cookie cutter because
Yeah.
everybody's different. In a way, everything is custom when you're selling, when you're having those conversations with people. It's not like you can just pick up and have the same conversation. If you do, you sound like a robot in some ways too.
Yes. And I used to, oh my gosh, when I first started in sales, I was so nervous. Still get nervous completely. But yeah, I'm a big fan of pen and paper. And so I would write down what I would say exactly and I'd call them. I wish I could hear those calls now. That'd be so bad. And I used
Somebody
to
has them in a
sit and listen.
voicemail somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
My company would have them recorded. So I would sit and listen to my calls and it was just the worst thing ever.
Yeah, but it's hard for especially people starting out to break themselves away from a manuscript. This is what you ask. God forbid the conversation goes off the rails. How do you reply at that point?
That's the biggest thing too, is when I graduated from college, I just wish that I had found those leaders before, like the Armands and the Sarahs of LinkedIn. And that's what I hope to be is posting on my account to people in sales get completely lost because you feel like you're failing right away because you don't get success because you're new at it. And it's a tough industry to get in because there's a lot of rejection. I personally hate rejection, but the thing is that if you keep working on it and you end up finding a script that works for you, you'll slowly start to see it. I look for a straightforward path, but like it's never going to happen, which is cliche to say, but it's true. And so I think people graduating from college and stuff, especially going into the print industry and stuff, I think that I want to be an outlet for them to look onto my page. Oh, this is how you're supposed to approach this email. This is how you're supposed to approach this call. This is what I could do, but I'll just make it myself a little bit.
What are the general ideas that I need to express in an outreach email? What are
Yeah.
the general ideas I need to express following up with somebody? They don't have to be that cut and dry. Hi, I reached out on this. And
Yeah.
I think in some ways, if you can get somebody on a phone call, it's probably better anyway, because you're then actually conversing with the person.
Yeah. Which is so rare nowadays. No one answers
No.
their phone. I don't answer mine.
Yeah, I agree. If I don't know the number, I don't answer it.
Yeah. Voicemail.
It goes right to voicemail. It's tough. It is tough to get people on the phone, but every now and then when you can,
Yeah.
the
Take advantage of
conversations
it.
are amazing. Now, for you starting out, sales is almost all encompassing in many ways. Probably takes not only your time during the day, but I'm guessing it's not generally a 9 to 5 job. So, how do you balance the demands of work, the demands of whatever your personal life is, And how do you offer support to be flexible with some of the demands on both sides of the coin?
I am good work-life balance because I think that sales is interesting because I'm hybrid. So I'll be in the office as well as be online and
Mhm.
remote. It gives such a open playing field of when you can work too. I typically like to do like power hours where I'm getting everything done in a certain amount of hours. And I think that a typical 9 to 5, especially if someone with ADHD, is not the move. And I
Mhm.
think I like sales because of that. You're traveling a lot and you're working sometimes late at night. Like I'll be working later at night or responding to an email at 10, but I don't need the prospect to respond to me right then. They can respond in the morning, but that's sometimes when I'm getting to stuff or I have to respond to it. And so I think, yeah, it's not a 9 to 5 as though we should be in the office as like 9 to 5, but sometimes you have a lot going on and other times you're just doing outreach. So it feels like you don't have a lot going on and then it can change within the day or the hour, honestly.
Yeah. All of a
And
sudden,
so,
people start getting back to you, and then you're just flooded, which is
yes,
probably a good problem to have, being
it's a
flooded.
good problem to have and time goes by quick. And I think, yeah, I love sales because it's so flexible. And I feel like I enjoy my personal time and I don't usually mix it with work. I have two phones, one work, one regular. And so I always just bring it with. And if I need to respond, I need to respond. So I'll just hop on to a call or send out an email. But I definitely prioritize my outside of work life as well because I'm still young too. I'm working towards my future, but I also want to enjoy my youth.
Mhm.
I think that it's important to have a good balance while still getting progress. And a lot of sales is if you are bringing stuff into the pipeline and showing results, then you're doing your job.
Yeah.
So,
How do you maintain those boundaries between work
um,
and personal?
I think I bring up LinkedIn again. LinkedIn posts will take me a long time, or I'll be sitting like studying what content works the best for other users. And I think that I need to stop myself sometimes because I'll be in my free time just sitting on the couch, scrolling through LinkedIn, seeing what is going to be working the best for a next post. And I think that work and outside life need to have a clear wall between them, especially when you get a family. I don't have a family yet and not soon to come, but I think that's a huge thing is being able to pick up your kids from school. And that's a great thing about my company. A lot of people do that. Like they're working at home because their kids, it's summertime, or they have to go pick up their kids from school because they're sick. And they're like, yeah, go do that. So,
Life happens.
yeah, which is, yeah, so important. My old company was great with that as well. They had built in 6 days that like were unlimited. So you could take whenever.
And I think a lot of it too is if the job is getting done, there can be a lot more flexibility.
Yeah, if progress is being made and it's shown, not just saying, hey, I'm reaching out to people, but if you're getting meetings and you're getting clients onboarded, then people are happy and then you're happy. It depends on your selling style as well. You can work really hard and you can get a ton of new business, and you can also work really hard and not get a ton of new business at the time. It depends on timing, and a lot of sales is luck and plus charisma.
Right place, right time.
Yes, yes. That is probably the biggest thing. Everyone says that in this industry, especially this industry, because how this works is people have relationship for years with their vendors. And if a job is messed up, right time, right place, you reached out and you caught them when someone's mad and they're ready to switch. Lucky you then. But unless you're on the other side of it, then not lucky
Yeah, but
you.
then how do you salvage that relationship before
Yeah.
you move on to somebody else?
Have a good client relationship before that happens.
Yeah.
Maintaining those client relationship as well.
Is your biggest challenge really trying to win work away from other companies?
I think that this industry is interesting because with software, you have unlimited what we call them screens is prospects to call on and
Mhm.
to email. And so with software sales, you had so many because I worked in the hotel industry. And with this, there's only so many companies, like I said earlier, that do print and that can be successful at doing print.
Yep.
And so I think my objective is looking at companies that are looking to expand in print and then also ones that their print could use some fixing up. And I think taking away from people that have had relationships for so long is a difficult thing to do. And it's really just, if you're in there at the right time, right place, awesome. But at the end of the day, build trust with them over the years, build a platform that they know, oh, I am not happy with my print vendor. I saw this girl on LinkedIn with these great marketing campaigns and she does print. Might as well check them out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about building a friendship and building a platform where people can be like, that would be nice to reference later on.
And you become then more than just an order taker. You're a partner with them in their success.
Yeah.
Which is always going to lend itself to much more fruitful campaigns and a relationship down the line for both companies. At least that's the goal.
Yeah. And also, if you have a big following, it's so funny because I realize that even if it's not a good post and people have a big following, they get a lot of interactions and a lot of comments. But if you have a good post and you don't have a lot of following, it either can go viral randomly or people don't comment on it because other people aren't commenting on it. And so once you build up that experience and that audience, other people are going to want to comment on it because everyone's a follower in some way. And so people like to do what other people are doing.
Yeah.
So hopefully building that platform up to be like, these guys are with them, so I should be with them. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. As we're wrapping up, this is probably my favorite question, and I ask it of everyone. So knowing what you know now. So for you, it's interesting because you have your shorter time, your year at IWCO, but you have a family history in print. So
yes,
if you were just going to walk in the door with no background, no history, you're just getting started in the printing industry, what advice would you give yourself?
I think to take everything as a lesson to be learned. So never stop learning, number one, because I'm still learning every day. You're going to learn something new and make mistakes. But I think reaching out right away, learning what's working, what's not working, which I started a little bit later in my journey, but just starting to build relationships right away with the print industry. I think that's the biggest thing because it's such a niche market that once you get trust with people, it's easier to make, I don't want to say a sale. It's easier to make relationships once you've built trust, and it's easier for people to want to work with you. People work with people they like. That's the biggest motto that my whole family has is people work with people they like. So
people do business with people.
Yeah.
Yes, you might be buying from a company, but you're really buying from the person that you're working with.
Yeah. And I think that was a big thing learning in software sales is every software is basically the same. Like you all have competitors. Like my last one, we all had competitors. They typically do the same thing. And you might be a little bit different in small ways, but it's more about the relationship you have. If you can call them anytime and they're going to pick up and you can trust them with your work, you don't have to micromanage everything. Our team's going to take care of that for you. It's more of peace of mind and keeping a friendship while keeping it going.
So, really good advice and really good thoughts about that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else because like I came in here and I was like, it's hard to say now because I have more knowledge in it. But when I came in, I just was so lost. And so I'm trying to think back to that period.
Ask the questions.
Yeah. Ask the questions and do research of, I don't even know. It's such a weird industry because it's so different. It's so different for my generation because when I came in here, I was like, this company should do print. And they're like, that wouldn't work because of this. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But everything works for social media. Everything for marketing works for social media because everyone's on it. But learning what makes sense in the industry. And I don't know. God, I don't have a good answer for that one. It's hard to explain.
It's the learning process, no matter what.
Yeah. Learning curve. Learn every day and keep asking questions.
Honestly, we need to keep learning because things continue to change.
Yeah, that's a big thing too, is like print has completely flipped upside down now with technology because it's not just the cheapest vendor and get the best price for their print. It's all right, how can we incorporate this data and target the right persona and get an omni-channel approach from offline to online? So it's completely different now. And it's more about how you can get the user to act on that sale within the 3 seconds that they're looking at that piece.
And that's something I think we're all still learning.
Seriously, though. Oh my gosh, I'm learning every day.
Paige, it was awesome to be able to chat with you a little bit. Thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, no, it's so fun.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.